You don't need another motivational message. You need a moment of truth. Because if you're honest, life hasn't felt like living lately. It's felt like surviving. You move fast, but go nowhere. You work hard, but feel disconnected. You're surrounded by opportunities, yet shrinking inside routines that drain you. Modern life has tricked you into thinking exhaustion is normal, distraction is harmless, and purpose is optional. But the symptoms are showing. The constant tiredness, the scrolling that never satisfies, the quiet fear that you're becoming someone you never meant to be. And here's the truth most people run from. Your potential isn't dying from failure. It's dying from slow neglect. Not because you're weak, but because you're overwhelmed. This audiobook is not here to hype you up. It's here to interrupt the spiral. The one that convinces you to delay your dreams, silence your instincts, and live a life so small it barely resembles you. Your life is not supposed to feel like an endless reaction. You are meant to create, not just cope. You are meant to design, not just endure. Every choice you make emits a frequency. Every habit becomes an identity. Every day you drift, you train your mind to settle. But every day you act with intention, you reclaim power. This is your wake-up call, not because time is running out, but because you finally realized you don't want to waste any more of it. Your life is calling you forward, and you know it. If you're ready to rise above the noise, like the video, it tells YouTube you're choosing awareness over autopilot. Subscribe now, and don't miss the next chapter in your evolution. And remember, the deepest transformation belongs to those who stay until the very end. Chapter 1. Realize every day you waste is gone forever. There is a truth most people never fully grasp until it is too late. Every morning you wake up, time moves forward, with or without you. The hours you live today will never return. The minutes you waste will never be refunded. The opportunities you ignore will not circle back. Life does not pause, rewind, or wait for you to get serious. And one day, you will look back and see that the days you treated casually were the very days that could have transformed you. Most people don't quit because life is too hard. They quit because they get used to living without urgency. They drift, they delay, they wait for motivation, and without noticing it, they surrender entire years to comfort and distraction. They speak of tomorrow as if it is guaranteed, as if time is something they own rather than something they borrow. They promise themselves they will start later, not realizing that later is the most expensive word in the world. Later steals dreams. Later kills potential. Later is how an entire life passes unused. Every day you live is a piece of your future. Every day you ignore is a piece of your future thrown away. When you waste a day, you're not just wasting time. You are shaping who you become. Because life is not built in months or years. Life is built in days. One day repeated is a life. One choice repeated is a character. One habit repeated is a destiny. If you want to know where your life is headed, look at how you use today. If you want to know who you are becoming, look at the decisions you made in the last 24 hours. The truth is simple. A wasted day is a preview of a wasted life. And yet, most people treat a single day as if it is insignificant. They wake up, scroll, rush, complain, distract themselves, fall asleep, and repeat. Days blur into weeks, weeks blur into months, and suddenly, a year has passed. Somewhere inside them, a quiet voice whispers, "I could have done more." But instead of listening, they bury the voice under another day of autopilot. They don't see that the whisper is not guilt. It is potential speaking. It is the higher self reminding them that they were meant to direct their time, not drown in it. This is where the scientific and spiritual truth intertwines. A day is not just a unit of time. It is a unit of energy. You wake up every morning with a limited amount of mental clarity, emotional strength, and creative power. If you do not channel that energy deliberately, entropy takes over. Disorder takes over. Your mind becomes scattered. Your emotions become dull. Your purpose becomes foggy. You do not stay the same. You decline. But when you use the energy of a single day intentionally, even in small ways, something profound happens. Your brain begins to rewire through neuroplasticity. Your emotional state elevates. Your inner frequency shifts. You strengthen the identity of someone who acts while others wait. Someone who chooses growth over comfort. Someone who treats time as sacred. Life responds to that identity. Opportunities open for people who show up. Clarity opens for people who take action. Momentum belongs to those who refuse to waste their days. Think about a normal day in your life. The habits you repeat, the thoughts you allow, the distractions you choose. Now imagine repeating that same day for the next 365 days. Would your life expand or shrink? Would you be proud or disappointed? Would you look back with gratitude or regret? That question reveals everything. Because your future is not created by your dreams. Your future is created by your daily actions, especially the ones you think don't matter. Reading for an hour, working on your idea, moving your body, showing discipline when it is inconvenient. These small decisions accumulate like drops of water. One drop seems meaningless, but over time, they fill an ocean. Your life. People fail not because they lack ability, but because they underestimate the power of a single day. They assume tomorrow will be different. But tomorrow brings the same distractions, the same excuses, the same tired habits dressed as comfort. Tomorrow doesn't save you. Only today does. You have one life. And that means every hour counts. You cannot go back to yesterday. You cannot borrow from tomorrow. All you ever have is now. When you understand this deeply, not intellectually, but emotionally, you stop wasting time on people, places, and patterns that don't move you toward the person you want to be. So ask yourself, with full honesty, if today were the last full day I had on this planet, would I be proud of how I lived it? That question is not meant to scare you. It is meant to wake you. It is meant to cut through the illusions that keep you drifting. Because a conscious life begins with one realization. This day matters. And until you honor a single day, you will never build a life you're proud of. Every day you waste is gone forever. But every day you use with purpose builds the future you were meant to live. Chapter 2. Time is energy, the frequency you live on. Most people think of time as numbers on a clock, hours, minutes, moments passing one after another. But that is only the surface-level truth. Time is not just something you spend. Time is something you emit. Time is energy. Time is frequency. The way you use your hours determines the state you live in, the opportunities you attract, and the version of yourself you're becoming. Two people can live the same 24 hours and produce entirely different lives. One spends the day distracted, leaking energy into everything that doesn't matter. The other spends the day aligned, channeling their attention toward what they want to build. Same hours. Completely different outcomes. Why? Because they lived on different frequencies. Your frequency is the emotional and mental state you bring into your day, the level of consciousness you operate from, and your state determines how you experience the world. When you're stuck in a low frequency, time feels slow, heavy, repetitive. You drift, you scroll, you procrastinate, you live in reaction. But when you're operating on a high frequency, clarity, purpose, focus, time becomes sharper, cleaner, more powerful. You live with direction instead of distraction. Modern science explains this through your nervous system and brain chemistry. When you repeatedly live in stress, exhaustion, or mental chaos, your brain adapts to that rhythm. It reinforces the neural circuits of survival, not growth. Your body begins to expect low energy, low motivation, low clarity. You normalize a life where you're constantly catching up, constantly overwhelmed, constantly feeling like you're not moving. But when you choose intentional habits, reading, exercising, deep work, conscious rest, your brain adapts to that rhythm instead. Neuroplasticity reshapes your identity. Your energy stabilizes. Your emotional baseline improves. You attract ideas, clarity, and solutions because your mind is tuned to a higher frequency. It is not magic. It is biology. And yet, it feels spiritual because it transforms your entire existence. Think of your attention like a beam of light. Wherever you direct it, that part of your life becomes more alive. When you aim it at distractions, distractions expand. When you aim it at purpose, purpose expands. When you aim it at fear, fear expands. When you aim it at growth, growth expands. Energy follows focus. Life follows energy. Most people live scattered because they let the world hijack their attention. They wake up and instantly hand their energy to their phone, to notifications, to noise. By the time they reach noon, their frequency is already fractured. They didn't choose how to live. The world chose for them. But there is another way to live. Deliberately. To wake up and claim your state before the world claims it. To choose clarity over chaos. To choose creation over consumption. To choose presence over autopilot. When you do this, time stops slipping away from you. Instead, time becomes something you shape. Imagine this. Every morning, you are given a container of energy. You decide how much of it goes to distractions, how much goes to your growth, and how much goes to your future. If you don't direct it, entropy directs it for you. Your energy leaks into whatever is easiest, scrolling, worrying, drifting. But when you consciously aim that container towards something meaningful, you send a signal into the world. I am building something. And life responds differently to builders than it does to drifters. This is why some people seem to get lucky. Their frequency is aligned with action, clarity, and purpose. They are tuned to the energy of movement. Opportunities flow to them not because they are special, but because they are operating on a channel where growth is normal. The opposite is also true. When you live in hesitation, doubt, and distraction, you tune your life to the frequency of stagnation. Nothing grows there. Nothing expands there. You stay trapped in cycles you already know too well. Cycles that feel familiar, but drain your soul. So ask yourself, what frequency are you living on today? Are your hours being used on autopilot, or are you consciously connecting them to the future you want? Are you living as the highest version of yourself, or are you repeating the patterns of your past? Your days are not just passing. They are broadcasting. They are telling the world what you are available for. They are sending a message into the invisible field of your potential. I am ready, or I am afraid, or I don't care enough yet. When you begin treating time as energy rather than minutes, everything changes. You stop giving it away to people who drain you. You stop wasting it on habits that shrink you. You stop tolerating environments that pull you into a lower state. You become intentional, selective, aware, and from that moment on, your life begins to shift, not because the world changed, but because your frequency did. The highest version of you already exists on a higher frequency. To reach that version, you must rise into the state where that life becomes possible. You do that one day at a time, one choice at a time, 1 hour at a time. Time is not slipping away. Time is signaling you. Every hour is asking, what kind of life are you creating with the energy you live on? Chapter 3. Decide what truly matters and stop living on autopilot. Most people never consciously decide what they want their life to stand for. They wake up, follow the same routines, think the same thoughts, talk about the same problems, and move through their days as if they are being carried by a current they never chose. They look alive on the outside, but inside, they are drifting, existing, repeating, surviving, and they call this life. But deep within, a small voice keeps asking, is this it? Is this all there is? That question is not weakness. It is not dissatisfaction. It is your truth trying to wake you up. It is the part of you that remembers your potential, pulling you away from a life ruled by habit and toward a life shaped by intention. Autopilot living is what happens when you stop thinking about why you do what you do. You wake up, check your phone, take the same route, interact with the same people, respond with the same reactions, and then wonder why life feels repetitive. Nothing changes because nothing new is being created, and nothing new is created because nothing in you has changed. Autopilot is comfortable, but it is dangerous. The biggest threat to your future is not failure. It is drifting. Drifting feels harmless in the moment. You feel busy. You go through motions. You fill your hours. But beneath the surface, you are going nowhere. You are moving without progress. You are alive without direction. To escape autopilot, you must interrupt the pattern. You must stop. Sit with yourself. Look at your life with brutal honesty. Ask the questions most people spend their entire lives avoiding. What am I actually doing this for? What is the point of my days? Does any of this even matter to me? If you cannot answer those questions clearly, you are not leading your life. You are reacting to it. And a reactive life always ends in regret. Think about it. You might be chasing money because everyone around you says success equals earning more. You might be staying in a job that drains your energy because you fear uncertainty more than stagnation. You might be spending your evenings with people who don't inspire you because it feels safer than being alone. You might be filling your schedule with noise because silence forces you to confront truths you don't want to face. That is autopilot, predictable, familiar, and entirely lifeless. Your brain loves autopilot because it requires no effort. Your subconscious runs your days using old patterns and worn-out beliefs you never questioned. Society, habits, and past experiences write your script, and you simply perform it. But your potential does not live there. Your potential lives in conscious awareness, in the moments where you stop drifting and choose direction. To live with purpose, you must decide what truly matters. Not what matters to society, not what matters to your parents, not what matters to your friends. What matters to you? Your values, your vision, your life. This decision requires courage, because clarity often reveals hard truths. It may show you that you've spent years climbing a ladder leaning against the wrong wall. It may show you that you've poured time into relationships that never helped you grow. It may show you that you've built a daily routine that keeps you stuck in a version of yourself you no longer want to be. But clarity, even when uncomfortable, is freedom. Because once you see the truth, you can no longer pretend you don't know. And once you stop pretending, you can start changing. Begin with one area of your life and examine it without excuses. Your work. Does it bring meaning or merely routine? Are you doing it because you love it or because you're afraid to leave what's familiar? Your relationships. Do they elevate you or drain you? Do they reflect the person you want to become or the person you used to be? Your time. Are you filling it with distractions or with actions that make you proud at the end of the day? Every honest answer moves you closer to a life that feels alive again. From a spiritual and energetic perspective, autopilot is the collapse of your frequency. Your inner signal becomes weak because you are not choosing, you are responding. But awareness raises your frequency. It reactivates your inner power. The moment you start asking, "Does this matter to me?" you disrupt the old programming. You interrupt the noise. You create space for your authentic self to speak. Awareness is the first step. Clarity is the second. Clarity means identifying what you want your life to stand for. It means defining the values that matter to you. Growth, honesty, health, legacy, creativity, love, contribution, whatever speaks to your soul. When you know your values, decisions become easier. You stop giving time to what doesn't align. You stop chasing what drains you. You stop settling for what shrinks you. Clarity is not about perfection. It is about direction. It is the compass that turns a drifting life into a guided one. Living without reflection keeps you asleep. Living with intention wakes you up. Pause for a moment and ask yourself, if I keep living like this for the next 5 years, where will I end up? Does that destination make me proud or uneasy? If the answer is uneasy, that is your sign. Not to panic, but to choose differently. Life will not stop for you to figure things out, but the moment you decide what truly matters, you reclaim authorship over your days. You take the steering wheel back from habit. You become the creator instead of the passenger. Your life begins the moment you stop drifting and start directing, and that moment can be right now. Chapter 4. Clarity. Writing your own definition of a life well lived. Clarity is one of the most powerful forces in a human life. It cuts through noise. It dissolves confusion. It turns wandering into direction and hesitation into alignment. And yet, clarity is exactly what most people never take the time to create for themselves. They live with vague desires, blurry intentions, and inherited definitions of success, and then wonder why their life feels heavy, chaotic, or meaningless. But here is the truth you must hear. Until you define what matters to you, the world will do it for you. Your culture will tell you what to chase. Your environment will tell you how to behave. Your past will tell you who you think you are. Your habits will tell you what you settle for. Your fears will tell you what you avoid. And if you don't interrupt that noise, you will live a life engineered by everything except your own soul. Clarity is not temporary motivation. Clarity is identity. It is the act of deciding, with full consciousness, who you want to become and what you want your life to stand for. Most people never discover clarity because they never stop long enough to confront themselves. They rush from one obligation to the next, always busy, but rarely present. They fill every quiet moment with distraction, music, notifications, scrolling, noise, not realizing that silence is where truth speaks. Clarity requires stillness, and stillness terrifies people who have been living on autopilot for too long. But clarity is not a luxury. Clarity is a responsibility. When you avoid clarity, you drift. You waste time. You waste years. When you choose clarity, you direct. You align. You build. Clarity begins with a single question. What kind of life would make me proud? Not what life looks impressive to others. Not what life seems safe. Not what life matches your past. But what life feels true to the deepest part of you. There is a version of you who already knows the answer. A version who is honest, awake, courageous, unfiltered. A version who is not performing for approval, but listening inwardly. That version of you holds the blueprint, and clarity is how you bring it to the surface. To build clarity, begin with these reflections. 1. Who do you want to become? Not just what you want to achieve. Who you want to be. Your character, your energy, your presence, your habits. A life built on achievement without identity always collapses. 2. What do you want your days to feel like? Calm, focused, expansive, creative. You don't live a life, you live days. If your days feel wrong, your life will too. 3. What are you no longer willing to tolerate? This is where true clarity begins, when you choose what ends, the habits, patterns, and environments that shrink you. You make space for a life that expands you. Clarity is not only practical, it is also spiritual. Your inner state is a frequency, and when your values are unclear, your frequency is chaotic. You send mixed signals to the world. You attract people and situations that match your confusion. You feel scattered because your energy is scattered. But when you define what matters, you elevate your frequency. Your decisions have intention. Your actions have purpose. Your direction becomes clean. You stop chasing everything and start choosing something. From a scientific perspective, clarity sharpens your brain's filtering system, the reticular activating system, RAS. When you decide what matters, your brain begins noticing opportunities, people, ideas, and resources aligned with your vision. Life seems to open, not because the world changed, but because your awareness did. Clarity gives your mind a target, and what the mind focuses on expands. Clarity also creates emotional stability. When you know your values, you are not pulled by trends or pressured by comparison. You stop measuring your life against other people's timelines. You stop doubting every choice, because your choices are anchored in meaning. Stress decreases because confusion decreases. Anxiety softens because your path is defined. Clarity simplifies your life, not by making it smaller, but by making it sharper. Without clarity, you say yes to everything and lose yourself. With clarity, you say yes only to what aligns, and you find yourself. A life lived without clarity is like trying to read a map in the dark. You move, but you don't know where you're going. You spend energy, but you don't build anything. You stay busy, but you don't feel alive. Clarity is the moment the lights turn on. So pause, breathe, ask yourself, if I removed all the noise, the pressure, the expectations, the past, what does my soul actually want? Your clarity will not come from overthinking. It will come from honesty, from stillness, from listening, from choosing what resonates instead of what is convenient. And once you choose clarity, everything that is not aligned with it becomes obvious. Clarity doesn't instantly fix your life. It directs it. Clarity doesn't eliminate challenges. It gives them purpose. Clarity doesn't remove fear. It gives you a reason to move through it. Your life becomes meaningful the moment you decide what it should mean. And that decision, that definition, is the most powerful thing you will ever write. Chapter 5. Give your dreams the effort they actually deserve. Everyone has dreams. Everyone has visions of a life that feels bigger, freer, more meaningful. But very few people ever see those dreams become real. Not because the dream was impossible, but because the effort was inconsistent, conditional, or weak. A dream without effort is just a fantasy. A dream with effort becomes a blueprint. A dream with consistent effort becomes a reality. Most people say they want a better life, but their actions tell a different story. They want the outcome, not the responsibility. They want the transformation, not the discipline. They want the reward, not the repetition. They want the glory, not the grind. But here is a truth that separates the few who rise from the many who drift. Your dreams will ask you for effort, real effort, long before they ever reward you. Effort is not something you give when you feel motivated. Effort is something you give because the future you want is worth it. Stop waiting for your dream to become convenient. It never will. Stop waiting for life to clear a path. It never does. Stop waiting for the perfect moment. It is not coming. The people who build extraordinary lives are not the ones who wait. They are the ones who begin. Effort is the currency of achievement. Every hour you invest, every skill you develop, every sacrifice you make becomes part of the structure that holds your future together. At first, it feels like nothing is happening. You work in silence. You work without applause. You work while others sleep, scroll, or complain. But effort doesn't reward you immediately. Effort compounds. It collects interest. It grows underground before it appears above the surface. Think of your dream as a living organism. It doesn't grow because you daydream about it. It grows because you feed it. It grows because you show up for it. It grows because you invest time and energy into it, even when the results are invisible, even when you doubt yourself, even when you question whether any of this is worth it. It is worth it. Life will test you long before it blesses you. Not to break you, but to see if you are serious. Not to punish you, but to prepare you. Not to block you, but to strengthen you so you can handle what you're asking for. Most people fail, not at the dream itself, but at the point where consistency stops feeling exciting. They quit when progress becomes slow. They quit when they get tired. They quit when the vision stops feeling new. But success isn't built in the first 10 days. It's built in the days when no one is watching, when no one is clapping, when the only person who can see the future is you. This is where the deeper, spiritual layer of effort comes in. Effort is not only physical, it is energetic. When you give effort, you send a powerful signal into your life. I am becoming the person who deserves this. Every act of effort expands your identity. Every completed task strengthens your self-respect. Every hour invested raises your frequency. Your dream responds to that frequency, because effort is alignment in motion. From a scientific perspective, consistent effort literally reforms your brain. It creates neural pathways that make success easier. It builds identity-based habits, behaviors that feel natural, because they match the person you're becoming, not the person you used to be. Effort becomes identity. Identity becomes destiny. So ask yourself honestly, do your daily actions match the life you say you want? If you want excellence, are you practicing excellence? If you want discipline, are you choosing discipline? If you want freedom, are you building the habits that create freedom? If you want a future that feels different, are you living today differently? Your dream is not waiting for more wishing. It is waiting for more working. Not perfection, not talent, not genius. Just effort. Real, quiet, steady, unglamorous effort. Even 1 hour a day can transform your life. 1 hour of learning, 1 hour of building, 1 hour of focus, 1 hour of doing the thing you keep postponing. You don't need 8 hours of intensity. You need 1 hour of seriousness every day. Effort is how you cast your vote for the future you believe in. Effort is how you prove to yourself that you mean it. Effort is how you bring the dream out of your mind and into reality. No one will hand you the life you want. No one will do the work for you. No one will carry your dream more than you. But if you are willing to give your dream the effort it deserves, if you are willing to show up on the days it feels pointless, if you are willing to repeat small actions long enough for them to matter, if you are willing to be consistent when others quit, then your dream will reward you in ways your past self could never imagine. Effort is the bridge between who you are and who you are becoming, and today is the perfect day to cross it. Chapter 6. Discipline, energy, and the law of compounding. Discipline is not about being perfect. It is not about waking up at 5 a.m. every day, never making mistakes, or living like a machine. Discipline is simply this: the ability to do what matters, even when you don't feel like it. And if you master this one skill, your entire life changes. Not instantly, but inevitably. Most people misunderstand discipline. They think it is about forcing yourself. They think it is about suffering. They think it is about grinding until you collapse. But true discipline is none of that. True discipline is alignment. It is the quiet, consistent choice to honor your future self instead of obeying your momentary feelings. Your feelings are temporary. Your future is permanent. Discipline is choosing the permanent over the temporary. Motivation feels good, but motivation is unstable. Discipline is stable. It holds your life together when motivation disappears. Anyone can act when they feel inspired, but the person who acts when they feel tired, bored, uninspired, or uncertain, that person becomes unstoppable. This is where the law of compounding begins to reveal its power. Compounding, the most powerful force in your life. A single workout does nothing. A single hour of studying changes nothing. A single day of effort barely moves the needle. But repeated effort, repeated small wins, repeated discipline compounds. Like interest in a bank account, every action you take quietly multiplies. Every repetition strengthens your identity. Every choice builds momentum. Every day you follow through increases your self-trust. Each small improvement stacks on top of the last one. People look at successful lives and assume they were built through huge moments, big decisions, grand events. But the truth is simpler and far more uncomfortable. Success is built through boring consistency, through invisible effort, through quiet discipline repeated so many times, it becomes a part of you. Your brain is constantly rewiring itself based on what you repeatedly do. This is neuroplasticity. Every time you choose discipline, you strengthen the neural pathways that make discipline easier next time. Every time you choose avoidance or distraction, you strengthen those paths instead. Your brain is always watching you, always learning from you, always becoming the type of person you train it to be. This is why discipline is not just about action. It is about identity. Every disciplined act tells your subconscious, this is who we are now. Every undisciplined act tells it, we don't take ourselves seriously. Your identity shapes your behavior, and your behavior shapes your identity. This loop creates your future. It also explains why people who feel stuck are not stuck because of circumstances. They are stuck because their identity has been wired around inconsistency. But the moment you choose discipline, the moment you follow through, even if it's small, you begin rewiring yourself for a different life. Discipline is energy management. Most people fail not because they lack discipline, but because they mismanage their energy. They start the day giving their attention to noise. They drain themselves with overthinking. They burn their energy on distractions and then wonder why they have none left for what matters. Discipline becomes easier when you protect your energy. Discipline becomes natural when your environment supports your goals. Discipline becomes automatic when you live from a higher state, not survival, but intention. Your energy is your power source. Your habits are the wiring. Discipline is the switch that turns your potential into reality. When you choose even one small disciplined action early in the day, making your bed, journaling for 5 minutes, doing a short workout, spending 15 minutes learning something, you elevate your state. You shift your frequency. You send a signal into the day. I am in control. Your brain responds with clarity. Your body responds with momentum. Your emotions respond with self-respect. You are no longer the kind of person who reacts to life. You are the person who directs it. The invisible period. Every transformation has a phase where you see nothing happening. You start waking up earlier, eating cleaner, studying harder, practicing more, staying consistent, and your life looks the same. No dramatic results, no applause, just effort. Most people quit during this invisible period because they mistake silence for failure. They expect quick results. They expect obvious progress. But everything meaningful grows in silence first. Muscles grow in recovery. Roots grow underground. Skills grow in repetition. Confidence grows in follow-through. You may not see the progress, but your mind, your discipline, and your frequency are changing. This invisible period is not the test. This invisible period is the transformation. This is where compounding begins. If you stay consistent through the invisible period, the curve will eventually bend in your favor. What was once hard becomes normal. What once required force becomes identity. And one day, your results will look like a miracle. But they won't be. They will be the inevitable outcome of the discipline you practiced while no one was watching. Discipline is your signal to the universe. From a spiritual perspective, discipline is a declaration of alignment. Every time you choose the harder right instead of the easier wrong, you raise your energetic signal. You tell life, I am serious. I am ready. I am willing. Discipline stabilizes your frequency. It turns chaos into clarity. It turns potential into progress. It turns intention into identity. Life responds to steady energy. Life rewards consistent effort. Life expands for those who honor their future through their choices. The law is simple. If you are disciplined today, your life will thank you tomorrow. If you avoid the work today, your life will remind you tomorrow. You are not punished for your habits. You are shaped by them. You are not rewarded for your discipline. You are transformed by it. The smallest act of discipline, repeated daily, becomes the strongest force in your life. Chapter 7. The War Against Laziness and the Power of Purpose. Laziness is not the absence of effort. It is the absence of meaning. It is not a character flaw. It is a symptom, a sign that you have become disconnected from your deeper purpose, your vision, your why. When life loses meaning, effort feels heavy. When life gains meaning, effort becomes natural. People think laziness is a personality difference, that some people are driven and some are not. But the truth is far more human and far more hopeful. Every person becomes disciplined when they connect their actions to something that matters. And every person becomes lazy when they feel empty, aimless, or disconnected inside. You are not lazy. You are under-inspired. You are under-directed. You are under-connected to the future you want to build. Purpose is the cure. Purpose is the engine. Purpose is the fire that makes effort feel alive. Laziness begins in the mind. Laziness is not physical. It is mental. It begins with the quiet negotiation that happens inside your head. I'll do it later. I don't feel like it right now. I'm too tired. One day I'll get to it. These thoughts seem harmless, but they create a mental pattern that steals your power. Each time you choose delay over action, you reinforce the belief that your feelings are stronger than your purpose. And the more you reinforce that belief, the weaker your self-trust becomes. This is why laziness grows over time. Not because you have less energy, but because you have less trust in your ability to follow through. Laziness is the decay of self-trust. Discipline is the rebuilding of self-trust. Your brain loves ease until purpose reprograms. Your brain has one ancient job: keep you safe. Safe means predictable. Safe means easy. Safe means staying exactly where you are. This is why your brain pushes you toward comfort. It thinks it is protecting you. But comfort is not protection. Comfort is stagnation, disguised as safety. Purpose is the only thing that overrides your brain's comfort programming. When you give your mind a clear direction, a clear target, a clear reason, something extraordinary happens. Your biology changes, your energy changes, your focus sharpens, your emotions shift. Your habits begin to align automatically with your desired future. The brain stops asking, "Do I feel like it?" and starts asking, "What needs to be done?" That shift is the beginning of inner freedom. The physics of action. When you take action, even a small action, you generate energy. This is not metaphorical. It's neurological and energetic. Action releases dopamine, signaling progress. Progress increases motivation. Motivation fuels more action. Action creates energy, and energy destroys laziness. People wait for motivation to begin. But motivation begins with action. You have to move first. Then your mind catches up. This is the law of activation. Your state changes when your behavior changes, not the other way around. Every time you choose to start, even small, you overpower the inertia of laziness. Systems feelings. People who rely on feelings will always lose to laziness. People who rely on systems always win against it. Systems eliminate negotiation. Systems create automatic behavior. Systems make progress the default instead of the exception. A system might look like a morning routine, a set time for learning, a consistent workout schedule, a daily non-negotiable list, a cutoff time for distractions, a workspace that removes friction. Systems make discipline easy because they remove uncertainty. When you know exactly what to do and when, your brain stops resisting. The decision has already been made ahead of time. Laziness thrives in vagueness. When your goals are unclear, your days become unclear. When your days are unclear, your effort becomes scattered. Vagueness is the root of procrastination. Clarity is the cure. If you don't define what success looks like each day, your mind defaults to comfort. The question is not, "What should I do today?" The question is, "What matters most today?" Once you answer that, everything becomes easier. Not because the work is easier, but because your direction is. Purpose turns effort into identity. When you attach your actions to a deeper purpose, providing for your family, improving your life, becoming stronger, mastering your craft, building something meaningful, becoming the person you want to be. Those actions transform from tasks into identity. You become someone who follows through, someone who shows up, someone who honors their path. Laziness feels heavy because it has no meaning behind it. Discipline feels light when it is connected to purpose. Purpose makes effort feel like alignment instead of resistance. The energetic truth about laziness. From a spiritual and energetic viewpoint, laziness is simply low-frequency living. It is the energy of stagnation, of being disconnected from your inner fire. But once you reconnect with your vision, your frequency rises, your energy expands, your actions become infused with intention. You stop moving like someone who is surviving and begin moving like someone who is alive. Purpose lifts your frequency. Discipline stabilizes that frequency. Consistency amplifies that frequency. That is why people who reconnect with meaning often experience sudden bursts of clarity, creativity, and energy. Their inner fire was never gone. It was simply dimmed by disconnection. Momentum is built, not found. People think discipline is about being strong. It's not. It's about being consistent. You don't need to win the entire day. You just need to win the next 5 minutes. Laziness is defeated in micro moments. The moment you choose to start even when it's uncomfortable. The moment you choose alignment over avoidance. The moment you choose purpose over procrastination. Start small. Start now. Start today. Small effort repeated daily becomes unstoppable momentum, and momentum destroys laziness more effectively than motivation ever could. You are not fighting laziness. You are building yourself. You are not fighting a weakness. You are constructing a new identity. You are training your mind to follow your purpose. You are teaching your body to obey your vision. This is not a war against laziness. This is the birth of alignment. This is the rebuilding of self-trust. This is the awakening of your inner leadership. You stop being at war with yourself when you start leading yourself. You stop fighting your mind when you give it a direction. You stop wrestling with laziness when you replace it with purpose. And when your purpose becomes strong enough, laziness doesn't stand a chance. Chapter 8. Self-respect over approval. Reclaiming your inner authority. There comes a point in your life when you must choose. Will you live guided by your own inner compass, or will you live as a reflection of what others expect? Will you honor your own standards, or will you shrink yourself to win approval from people who barely know you, barely notice you, or barely care? Approval is addictive because it feels like connection. Self-respect is powerful because it is connection. Connection to your truth, your values, your identity. The moment you choose approval over self-respect, you hand your power over to the outside world. You begin negotiating your worth. You begin adjusting who you are to match who they prefer. You start performing instead of living. And the truth is harsh but liberating. People do not think about you nearly as much as you think they do. Most are too preoccupied with their own fears and insecurities to judge you as deeply as your mind imagines. When you finally accept this, you are free. Approval is a short-term currency. Approval feels good because it triggers the reward centers in the brain. You feel accepted, liked, safe. But the feeling fades quickly. And to get the next hit, you must perform again, bend again, agree again, shrink again. Approval creates dependency. Self-respect creates independence. Approval says, I hope they like me. Self-respect says, I trust myself. Approval asks you to adjust. Self-respect asks you to align. People who chase approval live with a quiet anxiety. The fear of slipping, the fear of disappointing someone, the fear of being misunderstood. But people who choose self-respect live with a calm confidence. Not because life is easy, but because their identity is no longer on the table for negotiation. The cost of being loved for who you pretend to be. When you seek approval from the wrong people, you will always pay in authenticity. You will always feel hollow afterward. Because if people only like the version of you that performs, impresses, or satisfies them, then deep down, you know they are not liking you. They are liking your mask. Self-respect removes the mask. It allows you to walk through life as one whole, integrated self, not a fragmented collage of who others want you to be. Self-respect is a boundary, not a wall. Choosing self-respect doesn't mean rejecting people or becoming cold. It means you stop explaining your worth. You stop apologizing for your boundaries. You stop letting people treat your kindness as weakness. You stop overgiving to those who undervalue you. When you respect yourself, you set standards. When you set standards, you filter your environment. When you filter your environment, your life becomes lighter. Self-respect is clarity. Approval-seeking is confusion. The spiritual science of self-worth. Energetically, your self-respect is your inner frequency. It is the signal you send into the world. When your signal is low, when you doubt yourself, shrink yourself, seek validation, you attract situations that match that frequency. People who take advantage, people who dismiss you, people who only show up when you serve their needs. But when you raise your internal frequency, when you move with dignity, clarity, and integrity, you attract completely different experiences. People who value you, opportunities that match your standards, environments that honor your energy. Your external world always mirrors your internal self-respect. Life reorganizes itself around the value you place on yourself. Approval has a price. Self-respect has a reward. Approval costs you your identity, your boundaries, your authenticity, your energy, your peace, your truth. Self-respect gives you confidence, peace, clarity, strength, freedom, alignment. One slowly destroys you. One quietly builds you. When you raise your standards, you will lose people. And that is a blessing. The moment you stop tolerating disrespect. The moment you stop over-explaining yourself. The moment you stop allowing people to cross your boundaries. The moment you start living with self-respect, people will leave. Let them. Their departure is not your loss. It is your liberation. Their absence creates space for people who are aligned with your truth. When you respect yourself, you stop clinging to connections built on weakness. You start choosing connections built on honesty, growth, and reciprocity. The fear of not being liked is the cage. Most people never escape. Most people stay small because they cannot bear the discomfort of disapproval. They silence their voice to avoid conflict. They dim their light to avoid jealousy. They lower their standards to avoid being called difficult. But consider this truth. If your authenticity threatens a relationship, the relationship was never real. Only the false version was accepted. Self-respect is not selfishness. Self-respect is self-preservation. Approval makes you adjustable. Self-respect makes you solid. When you seek approval, you become shapeless, molded by opinions. When you choose self-respect, you become grounded, anchored in your truth. One life is exhausting. The other is peaceful. One life requires performance. The other requires presence. One life leaves you empty. The other fills you with quiet confidence. Validation from others will never fill the space. meant for validation from yourself. Looking for validation externally is like drinking seawater. The more you consume, the more thirsty you become. But when you honor yourself, when you validate your own path, when you trust your own decisions, you stop chasing people who were never meant to guide your life. You begin to walk with a certainty that cannot be taken away. The moment you choose self-respect, everything changes. Your relationships change, your environment changes, your energy changes, your decisions change, your future changes, because you stop trying to be liked and start trying to be true. Approval fades, self-respect stays. Approval pleases people. Self-respect elevates your life. Approval satisfies the moment. Self-respect builds your future. Approval is noise. Self-respect is signal. And when you choose the signal over the noise, you become someone the world naturally respects, because you are finally respecting yourself. Chapter 9. Daily Standards. Designing a life you're proud to wake up to every day is a blank slate, a reset, a tiny lifetime. And yet most people drift through their days as if each one is insignificant, as if the sum of their life will somehow be different from the pattern of their days. But your life is built one sunrise at a time, one morning routine at a time, one decision at a time, one standard at a time. Your days are the bricks. Your standards are the architecture. Your life is the structure you build. If you want a life you're proud of, you must first create days you're proud of. This requires standards, not expectations from other people, but commitments to yourself. Standards are not rules you follow. Standards are the identity you practice. A standard says, "This is who I am. This is how I live. This is the level I refuse to drop below." And when your standards rise, everything around you rises with them. Standards shape identity, more than goals. Do goals create direction, but standards create transformation. Goals are what you want. Standards are who you are. Anyone can set a goal, but only disciplined minds build standards. A goal says, "I want to get fit." A standard says, "I do not miss workouts." A goal says, "I want to grow." A standard says, "I learn something every day." A goal says, "I want to be disciplined." A standard says, "I keep my word even when it's inconvenient." Standards turn your life into a series of aligned actions, and aligned actions turn into momentum, and momentum turns into identity. The problem with living by feelings. Most people wake up and let their emotions decide the quality of their day. If they feel tired, they slow down. If they feel unmotivated, they procrastinate. If they feel stressed, they escape into comfort. But feelings are unpredictable. Standards are stable. If your identity relies on how you feel, your life will always be inconsistent. But if your identity relies on your standards, consistency becomes natural, not because the work gets easier, but because the negotiation disappears. When something is a standard, it is non-negotiable. You don't debate it. You don't postpone it. You simply live it. Standards are promises you make to your future self. Every standard you set is a contract with the person you're becoming. A contract that says, "I will show up for you. I will not abandon you when it gets difficult. I will not trade your future for today's comfort." Your future self is watching. Your future self is waiting. Your future self is depending on your choices today. The question is, will you betray the future or honor it? Daily Standards. Remove the noise. When you operate without standards, every distraction looks important, every invitation feels urgent, and every emotion feels like a command. But when you have standards, you say no more easily. You protect your time naturally. You stop giving energy to meaningless tasks. You stop letting others dictate your pace. Standards simplify your life. They filter your world. They reveal what matters. They cut away the rest. Standards are the foundation of self-trust. You cannot respect yourself if you keep breaking your own promises. Self-respect is built exactly where discipline is built, in the quiet moments when no one is watching. Each time you follow your standard, you reinforce trust in yourself. Each time you abandon it, you weaken that trust. Over time, your brain begins to believe one of two narratives. I keep my word, or I can't rely on myself. One creates confidence. One creates doubt. One builds momentum. One destroys it. The energetic shift of living with standards. From a spiritual and energetic perspective, standards raise your frequency. When your actions align with your values, your inner world becomes coherent. You feel clearer, lighter, more grounded, more powerful. Your energy becomes clean, free from guilt, indecision, and scattered focus. This coherence generates confidence, not as a loud noise, but as a quiet stability. People can feel it in you. Opportunities respond to it. Life expands around it. Discipline becomes your natural state. Effort becomes sacred. Progress becomes inevitable. Make your standards personal, not performative. Don't copy someone else's routine. Don't imitate someone else's discipline. Don't chase someone else's version of high standards. Your standards must come from your identity, not from comparison. From your values, not from trends. From your goals, not from guilt. Ask yourself, who do I want to be in 5 years? What habits would that version of me live by? What behaviors would be non-negotiable for them? Those are your standards. Build standards that you can repeat, not impress. People with the purpose of standards is not perfection. The purpose of standards is consistency. Start small. 20 minutes of focused work, a daily walk, a chapter of reading, a moment of gratitude, a clean workspace, one difficult task completed early. No phone for the first hour of the morning. Small standards build strong identity. Strong identity builds massive results. Because when your standards rise even slightly, the shape of your entire day shifts. And when your days shift, the trajectory of your life shifts. Your standards decide your future, not your goals, not your potential, not your dreams, not your intentions, your standards. Your standards are the bridge between who you are and who you want to be. They are the daily proof that you are serious about your growth. Every night, life asks you one question. Did you honor your standards today? If the answer is yes, pride grows. If the answer is no, clarity grows. Both move you forward. Living with standards makes life simpler, not harder. People assume discipline restricts freedom, but discipline creates freedom. Standards create freedom. When you know exactly what matters, you stop wasting energy deciding. You stop feeling guilty about what you didn't do. You stop drowning in overwhelm. You stop drifting. Life becomes cleaner, calmer, more focused, more meaningful. Because now you're not just living, you're leading your life. The quiet power of ending the day. Proud. There is a rare kind of peace that only comes at night, when you can look at yourself and say, I didn't waste today. I lived with intention. I honored my standards. It doesn't matter if the day was perfect. What matters is that it was meaningful. What matters is that you showed up. What matters is that you lived aligned. That kind of pride cannot be bought. It can only be earned through daily discipline, through living as the person you know you are capable of being. And when your standards become your identity, your entire life becomes a reflection of your strength, your integrity, and your purpose. Chapter 10. Live with urgency, because this life will not repeat. There is a truth that most people refuse to face, not because it is dark, but because it is undeniable. Your time is not endless. Life is not an unlimited resource. Your days are not guaranteed. And the greatest illusion that steals potential is the belief that there will always be more time. More time to start. More time to change. More time to try. More time to become who you know you could be. But one day, there will be no more time. There will only be the life you lived, or the life you never allowed yourself to live. Urgency is not fear. Urgency is clarity. Urgency is the understanding that this moment matters, because it may never come again. Life moves forward, with or without you. Time is the only force that never pauses, never negotiates, never slows down. Whether you move or not, life moves. Whether you choose growth or comfort, life moves. Whether you act bravely or hide safely, life moves. And with every passing sunrise, the gap widens between the life you're living and the life you want. This is why waiting is so dangerous. Waiting feels harmless in the moment, but deadly in hindsight. Waiting sounds responsible, but quietly robs your future. Waiting promises safety, but delivers regret. When you delay your growth, you don't stay in the same place. You fall behind the life meant for you. Urgency is not rushing, it is awakening. Living urgently does not mean living frantically. It does not mean cramming your schedule with noise or forcing progress out of panic. That is not urgency. That is chaos. Urgency is presence. Urgency is awareness. Urgency is choosing to show up fully because you recognize the value of this exact moment. Urgency asks you to take your life seriously, not dramatically. It asks you to stop assuming you have decades to waste. It asks you to stop waiting for the perfect conditions that will never materialize. The myth of when I'm ready. So many people never begin because they are waiting to feel prepared, emotionally, financially, mentally, spiritually. But readiness is an illusion. You do not become ready before you begin. You become ready by beginning. Courage grows through action. Confidence grows through repetition. Clarity grows through doing. The longer you wait for readiness, the weaker you become. The more you act despite uncertainty, the stronger you become. Regret begins where urgency ends. Regret is the quiet, heavy realization that you could have lived differently, but didn't. It arrives not from the risks you took, but from the chances you avoided. Not from the mistakes you made, but from the decisions you delayed. Not from the failures you met, but from the dreams you never pursued. Urgency is what keeps regret from taking root. Urgency says, I choose to live now, not later. Every day is a countdown, not a reset. Most people view each morning as a new beginning, but spiritually, emotionally, energetically, each morning is also a countdown, a day from your limited total, a day that will never return, a day that contributes to your legacy, or erodes it. This is not meant to scare you. It is meant to wake you. You will never live today again. You will never be this age again. You will never have this exact opportunity again. And that is exactly what makes life precious. Urgency creates selectivity. When you understand time's value, you stop giving it freely. You stop saying yes to shallow obligations. You stop engaging with draining people. You stop tolerating meaningless routines. You stop living distracted. Urgency teaches you that not everything deserves your attention. Only the things that move your life forward, deepen your growth, strengthen your spirit, or enrich your relationships. Urgency makes you intentional, not impulsive, not frantic, not rushed. Intentional. Presence is the highest form of urgency. Urgency is not always about doing more. Sometimes it is about being more awake, more grounded, more conscious of your moments. When you are present, food tastes better, conversations go deeper, nature looks richer, time feels slower, and your life feels fuller. Presence transforms ordinary moments into meaningful memories. Urgency reminds you that you may not get these moments again. Together, they create depth, the true measure of a meaningful life. Waiting is the most expensive decision. You can make every dream you postpone becomes harder to reach. Every habit you delay becomes harder to build. Every change you avoid becomes harder to start. Time amplifies whatever you repeatedly choose. Progress or procrastination. A year from now, your life will reflect the decisions you made today. Your future self will either thank you or question you. The spiritual science of urgency. From an energetic perspective, urgency aligns you with flow. It tells the universe you are serious, receptive, willing. It amplifies synchronicity. It magnetizes opportunities. It accelerates momentum. Life responds to those who move. Doors open for those who knock. Paths appear for those who walk. Urgency is the signal that activates life's momentum around you. Act now. Not out of fear, but out of respect for your time. Act because your potential deserves expression. Act because your heart deserves fulfillment. Act because your soul deserves expansion. Act because your time deserves honor. The meaning of life is not found in how long you live. It is found in how deeply you live. Urgency deepens everything. Your effort, your relationships, your presence, your purpose, your courage. This life will not repeat, and that is your power. If life repeated itself, urgency would not matter. But because it does not, urgency becomes sacred. You have this one life, this one timeline, this one body, this one chance to become the person you sense inside yourself. Do not waste it rehearsing. Do not waste it waiting. Do not waste it living half awake. Live now. Start now. Move now. Speak now. Build now. Love now. Become now. Because one day, whether you are ready or not, the clock will stop. And when it does, the only question that will matter is, did you live fully while you had the chance? Chapter 11. Silence. The fear that tells you to play it safe. Fear has a quiet voice, but a powerful influence. It doesn't scream, it whispers. And those whispers shape your decisions more than you realize. Fear says, stay where you are. Don't take the risk. Don't try something new. What if you fail? What if you look foolish? It disguises itself as logic. It presents caution as wisdom. It feels protective, but it is not protecting your potential, only your comfort. Fear's purpose was never to help you grow biologically. Fear is ancient. It evolved to keep you alive, not fulfilled. Your nervous system cannot tell the difference between a physical threat and an emotional risk. To your brain, trying something new feels the same as standing near danger. That is why you freeze. That is why you hesitate. That is why you stay in the familiar, even when the familiar is suffocating. Fear is a survival system, not a success system. It will protect you from lions, but it will also protect you from opportunities. It will protect you from danger, but it will also protect you from growth. And the greatest tragedies in life are not caused by physical danger, but by emotional fear. The fear of failure, the fear of rejection, the fear of humiliation, the fear of uncertainty. Fear builds invisible walls around your potential. Fear exaggerates risk and minimizes reward. When you want to change your life, fear magnifies everything that could go wrong. It plays worst-case scenarios in your mind, like a movie you never asked to watch. It says, "What if you fail?" But it never asks, "What if you succeed?" It says, "What if they judge you?" But it never asks, "What if you inspire them?" It says, "What if you lose?" But it never asks, "What if you learn, grow, and rise?" Fear is biased. Fear is irrational. Fear is selective. It shows you danger, not possibility. It shows you risk, not reward. It shows you what you might lose, never what you might gain. Playing it safe is not harmless. It is expensive. People think avoiding risk is the responsible option. They think playing it safe protects their heart, their time, their ego. But playing it safe has a cost, and it is far higher than you think. You pay for playing small with lost years, missed opportunities, unexpressed potential, dreams you never attempted, confidence you never built, a life that feels smaller than what you know you're capable of. Safety has a price, and the price is your future. The world doesn't punish you for taking risks. It punishes you for avoiding them. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is motion in the middle of it. Fear will not disappear before you start. Fear will not vanish once the plan is perfect. Fear will not magically fade when you feel ready. Readiness is a myth. Confidence is built through movement, not imagination. Courage is doing the thing you fear while your hands are still shaking. It is walking forward even when your mind says, "Turn back." It is trusting that you can handle whatever happens, even if you don't know how yet. Courage is built through repetition. Every time you move through fear, fear shrinks. Every time you obey fear, fear grows. Fear is loudest right before breakthrough. Your fear intensifies the moment you are closest to growth. It flares when you are on the edge of a new identity. It tightens when you are about to expand beyond your old limitations. Fear is not a stop sign. It is a signal that you are stepping into something important, a signal that you are entering unfamiliar territory, a signal that you are leaving the old version of yourself behind. When fear shows up, it is not saying, "Don't go." It is saying, "You're close." Rewrite fear at the level of identity. Fear becomes weaker when you understand this truth. Fear is not a fact. Fear is a feeling, a biological sensation, a surge of survival chemistry, but not the truth of who you are. You can feel fear and still act powerfully. You can feel uncertain and still move with purpose. You can feel unready and still begin. Your identity is not your fear. Your identity is your choices. The moment you choose action over avoidance, you rewrite your identity in real time. The energetic science of moving through fear. From a spiritual perspective, fear is a contraction of energy. It tightens your aura. It lowers your frequency. It restricts your creativity, courage, and intuition. But when you act despite fear, your energy expands, your frequency rises, your intuition strengthens, your self-belief multiplies, your reality rearranges in your favor. Fear collapses your world. Courage expands it. Fear is a door, not a barrier. Behind everything you want is a door, and that door is labeled fear. Every meaningful dream requires walking through discomfort. Every major transformation requires releasing old safety. Every bold identity requires shedding your smaller self. Fear is a threshold. Cross it, and your life opens. The world belongs to those who move anyway. People who achieve extraordinary things are not fearless. They are practiced in acting while afraid. They do not wait for certainty. They do not wait for confidence. They do not wait for guarantees. They move, and because they move, life moves with them. Fear is loudest with the hesitant. It becomes quiet with the decisive. You are capable of more than fear. Suggests. Fear shows you your limits. Courage shows you your potential. Fear shows you risk. Courage shows you opportunity. Fear shows you what might break. Courage shows you what might bloom. There is a stronger version of you, a braver version, waiting behind your hesitation. You do not need to destroy fear to meet that version. You only need to stop obeying it. You silence fear, not by arguing with it, but by acting louder than it. Chapter 13. Stop waiting for motivation. Build momentum instead. Motivation is the most overrated concept in self-improvement. People treat it like a magical fuel. Something you need before you can begin. Something you must feel before you can take action. But the reality is this: motivation is unreliable. Momentum is unstoppable. Motivation is a mood. Momentum is a mechanism. Motivation fluctuates. Momentum compounds. Motivation gets you started once. Momentum keeps you moving forever. If you wait for motivation, you will live a life of delay. If you build momentum, you will live a life of progress. Motivation is a spark. Momentum is the fire. Motivation appears in moments of excitement, a new idea, a new plan, a new dream. But that intensity fades fast. What remains is the work, and work requires something deeper than a feeling. Momentum is not a feeling. Momentum is physics. It is built through motion, not emotion. When you take action, even small action, your brain releases dopamine. Dopamine signals progress. Progress breeds desire for more progress. Desire creates energy. Energy creates movement. Movement generates momentum. This is why the first step is always the hardest, not because the step is difficult, but because you have no momentum yet. Motivation wants comfort. Momentum wants continuity. Motivation disappears the moment something feels inconvenient, uncomfortable, repetitive, slow, unfamiliar, difficult. But momentum thrives exactly in those conditions. Momentum turns resistance into routine. Momentum turns effort into identity. Once you have momentum, even the hard days feel manageable. Not because you suddenly love the struggle, but because consistency has become your default. Momentum makes discipline feel natural. Momentum makes effort feel inevitable. Momentum makes progress feel expected. The first 10 minutes are more important than the next 2 hours. You don't need to commit to a full workout. Just start moving. You don't need to write a full chapter. Just write one paragraph. You don't need to build the whole project. Just do the first 10 minutes. Because once you start, your brain shifts states. It exits resistance and enters engagement. The hardest part is starting. After that, momentum carries the weight. The rule is simple. If you cannot do it for an hour, do it for 5 minutes. But do it. This is how you train your mind to show up without negotiation. Most people fail because they expect motivation to last. Motivation is designed to fade. It is an ignition switch, not the engine. The people who reach extraordinary levels of success do not rely on motivation at all. They rely on systems, routines, non-negotiables, personal standards, identity-based habits. They know their feelings are inconsistent, but their habits are consistent. Their standards are consistent. Their direction is consistent. They do not wait to want to do the work. They do the work until they want to keep going. Momentum is built by low-resistance habits. Most people fail because they set goals that require too much friction. Big dramatic routines, unrealistic expectations, perfectionist standards, extreme changes overnight. Friction kills consistency. Consistency builds momentum. Start small. Start simple. Start repeatable. Success is not about doing something huge once. It is about doing something small thousands of times. One push-up is not impressive, but one push-up a day is the seed of transformation. Momentum turns identity into I am the kind of person who. Humans act according to identity. Identity is shaped by repeated experience. When you follow through, even slightly, your brain records, I showed up. I can rely on myself. I do what I say. I'm becoming disciplined. Momentum becomes personal truth, and personal truth becomes destiny. The reason momentum is life-changing is not because of the actions, but because of the identity those actions create. You become someone who naturally follows through, not because of hype, but because of habit. Momentum is more powerful than motivation, because it works, even on bad days. Bad days don't stop momentum. Low energy doesn't stop momentum. Self-doubt doesn't stop momentum. Temporary setbacks don't stop momentum. Momentum carries you through the emotional storms. It becomes an anchor, a stabilizer, a quiet force that keeps you aligned even when life becomes messy. Motivation cracks under pressure. Momentum grows under pressure. Momentum makes your life easier, not harder. People assume discipline makes life rigid, but discipline makes life simple. Momentum removes decision fatigue, overwhelm, procrastination, emotional resistance, wasted time. Because you already know what comes next. Momentum eliminates the chaos of should I and replaces it with the clarity of I do. The more momentum you build, the less effort life requires. The energetic truth. Motion raises your frequency. Movement generates energy. Stillness generates stagnation. When you act, your vibration rises. Your creativity increases. Your clarity sharpens. Your intuition strengthens. Your confidence grows. Motion is not just physical, it is energetic. Momentum lifts your entire frequency into a higher state of being. This is why people say they feel alive again once they start taking action. Their energy is reactivating. Momentum is the most underestimated superpower in self-growth. You don't need willpower. You don't need bravery. You don't need perfect conditions. You don't need emotional hype. You need to start, and then not stop. Because once momentum begins working for you, the entire game changes. You no longer chase motivation. You no longer depend on inspiration. You no longer wait for the right moment. You become the kind of person who creates the moment. Momentum turns intention into identity, identity into action, action into progress, progress into transformation. Let today be the first step. No matter how small, not tomorrow, not next week, not when you feel ready, today. Do one small action, even the tiniest one, and let that be the beginning of your momentum. Because once you start moving, your life will start moving with you. Momentum is not built by giants. It is built by ordinary people choosing not to stop. Chapter 14. Make decisions faster. Speed is a life advantage. Most people don't have a discipline problem, or a motivation problem, or even a confidence problem. They have a decision problem. They take too long to decide. They overthink simple choices. They replay options in their mind until all momentum disappears. They avoid discomfort by hiding behind, "I'm still thinking." They confuse delay with wisdom and hesitation with safety. But here's the truth. Slow decision-making is one of the biggest killers of progress. Fast decision-making is one of the biggest accelerators of growth. Not reckless decisions, not impulsive decisions, but clean, confident, timely decisions. When you decide faster, you live faster. When you decide faster, you grow faster. When you decide faster, you learn faster. When you decide faster, life opens faster. Overthinking is the enemy of expansion. Overthinking creates imaginary problems. Overthinking inflates small choices into crises. Overthinking turns fear into logic. Overthinking consumes energy that should be used for action. People think overthinking is a sign of intelligence. It isn't. It's a sign of fear. Overthinking is the mind's way of avoiding responsibility. If you never decide, you never have to fail. If you never act, you never have to be wrong. If you never choose, you never have to grow. Indecision is self-protection, disguised as analysis. The world moves for decisive people. Look at the people who rise fastest. They are rarely the smartest, rarely the most talented, rarely the most resourced. They are the most decisive. They say yes and learn. They say no and move on. They pivot quickly. They adapt quickly. They act while others think. They try while others hesitate. They learn from doing, not from perfect planning. Decisive people live in real time. Indecisive people live in hypothetical futures. Life rewards the ones who move. Speed does not mean carelessness. It means clarity. Fast decision makers are not impulsive. They are clear. Clear on their values. Clear on their priorities. Clear on their standards. Clear on their direction. Clarity makes decisions simple. If something aligns with your values, yes. If it drains your energy, no. If it supports your future self, yes. If it distracts you from your path, no. Most decisions aren't hard. We just complicate them with fears, opinions, and what-ifs. The 80% rule: decide when you have enough, not all. If you wait to know everything, you will wait forever. Success comes from making decisions when you have enough clarity, not absolute certainty. 80% clarity is enough. Progress will teach you the rest. Perfectionists struggle with this because they want guarantees. But life has no guarantees. Life has only momentum. Decide, act, adjust. This is the formula for transformation. What you lose when you delay. Every slow decision costs you. Lost time, lost energy, lost momentum, lost opportunities, lost confidence, lost alignment. Indecision keeps you stuck in the same place, not because you lack ability, but because you lack movement. Meanwhile, someone with half your talent, but twice your decisiveness, will outrun you, not because they're better, but because they're faster. Decisiveness builds confidence, not the other way around. People believe you need confidence to make decisions, but confidence is a result of making decisions. Every time you choose quickly, you reinforce self-trust. Self-trust becomes confidence. Confidence becomes momentum. Momentum becomes identity. Confidence is built through evidence, the evidence that you can choose, act, learn, and correct. Decisions create evidence. Indecision creates doubt. The nervous system connection. Why slow decisions drain you? When you avoid decisions, your nervous system enters a loop. Stress, uncertainty, rumination, anxiety, fear. This drains your mental bandwidth. When you decide, your nervous system stabilizes. It relaxes. It focuses. It moves forward. Your biology prefers clarity. Your life prefers momentum. Indecision is the greatest thief of dreams. Dreams die not because of failure, but because of hesitation. You don't lose opportunities. You fail to take them. You don't miss your potential. You avoid stepping into it. You don't lack answers. You delay the question. Indecision is silent, but destructive. It slowly steals the life you could have lived. Decisiveness is a superpower in your daily life. Decide quickly what you tolerate, what you value, what you pursue, what you walk away from, what you no longer accept, what matters most today. The faster you decide, the faster your life aligns. People think decisive living is stressful, but the opposite is true. Indecision is exhausting. Decisiveness is freeing. From an energetic perspective, decisiveness raises your frequency. When you make fast, aligned decisions, your energy becomes clean, your aura becomes stronger, your presence becomes clearer, your intuition sharpens, your confidence radiates. Indecision keeps you in low-frequency anxiety. Decisiveness elevates you into high-frequency clarity. You stop leaking energy. You stop feeding fear. You stop negotiating with smallness. You don't need perfect decisions. You need direction. Most decisions can be corrected. Few decisions are permanent. But staying stuck is. Direction creates progress. Progress creates wisdom. Wisdom creates better decisions. You win by moving, not by waiting. Let this become your new standard. Make decisions faster. Not recklessly, not emotionally, but clearly, cleanly, confidently. Trust yourself to adjust. Trust yourself to learn. Trust yourself to adapt. Trust yourself to grow. Life does not reward those who think the longest. Life rewards those who move the soonest. And you are capable of moving faster, deciding faster, and stepping into your future sooner. Conclusion. The life you want is built in the moments others ignore. Your life has never been shaped by one breakthrough, one burst of motivation, or one dramatic turning point. It has always been built slowly, through small, intentional choices. The mornings you showed up, the days you pushed through resistance, the moments you chose discipline over comfort, purpose over laziness, courage over fear. These ordinary moments were never ordinary. They were the architecture of your becoming. Your days are your life in miniature. Every decision votes for the future you want. Every action signals the identity you are shaping. You were not born to drift or repeat yesterday on autopilot. You were born to grow, evolve, and fully inhabit your potential. That growth will not arrive by accident. It will arrive because you chose it. Because you stopped waiting for perfect conditions. Because you stopped abandoning yourself. Because you finally understood that change is not intellectual. It is behavioral, lived, practiced, repeated. You do not need permission. You do not need perfection. You do not need certainty. You need the willingness to act now, while your heart is beating and your time is still yours. The future you dream of is built from the next decision you make, the standards you hold today, and the discipline you practice when no one is watching. Momentum begins in moments. Transformation begins with one honest step. So stand taller. Choose direction. Choose clarity. Choose discipline. Choose the version of yourself you know you can become. You have one life. It will not repeat. Live it fully, fiercely, and without apology. This is your beginning. This is your moment. This is your life. Thank you for listening with an open mind and heart. If a certain chapter or insight resonated most with you, share it in the comments. You might help someone else find exactly what they need today. Keep this book saved so you can return to its words whenever life calls for reflection or guidance. I wish you health, peace, and wisdom in every step you take.